Well, it can continue if we pursue the right policies because we have a high-tech free market economy, and that's been a big change in Israel from a decade ago, and even certainly 2 decades ago. We prize our brain power and the innovation and entrepreneurship of our people, and we've created a favorable business environment for that to flourish. So I'm confident that will continue. It will undergo changes, it will undergo dislocations. That's happening everywhere in the world. But essentially, you're moving into the 21st century, into an economy where those who can develop conceptual products do very well. And Israel is the preeminent society in the world right now that creates conceptual products. We have more scientists, more engineers, more technologists per capita. We spend more on R&D relative to our GDP than any other country in the world. So I'm confident that engine will continue. I'm looking for a number of ways to make sure that we have internally generated growth that is not dependent on export markets.
There are some countries around the world right now worried about U.S. economic policy and the ripple effects on their own nations, China, Germany, Japan, worried about quantitative easing. You served, of course, as finance minister. You know some of these issues. How worried are you about what Ben Bernanke is doing and the ripple effects it may have on Israel?
Well, first of all, I'm a speedboat operator. I'm not a captain of a large cruise ship. So everything that we're doing in the context of a small economy that's competing in the international marketplace. I wouldn't bet against America. I don't know of anyone who's succeeded by betting against the United States. It's still the #1 economy in the world. It's still a reservoir of tremendous talents and entrepreneurial drive. And I think the United States will surprise a lot of people. It's important not only for you, it's important for us.
There are, of course, worries about a weaker dollar, the impact that's having on currencies around the world. We've seen what your central bank has done in terms of currency reserves. Any worry about those capital flows and, again, the currency valuations?
Well, first of all, we find ourselves in a peculiar situation where our currency is one of the strongest currencies in the world. Can you imagine if I told you 10 years ago that the shekel would be one of the strongest currencies in the world? You'd scoff at it, but in point of fact, it's an issue. We're worried about it, but what in fact we're doing, other than these tactical moves that our very able central banker, Professor Stanley Fischer, is doing, at the end of the day, it requires our exporters and our companies to adjust to the fact that the Israeli economy has become a stronger economy.
Mr. Fischer has talked about a time in the future when, if there is a peace with the Palestinians, about what that could mean for economic growth in Israel. Talk to me about what you think the true potential is for the Israeli economy, the regional economy, if peace were to happen.
Enormous. I think the possibilities are enormous as it is, but with the addition of peace, they could really skyrocket. First of all, we're at a juncture of several continents, and we're not really using the strategic crossroads geographically to move goods, raw materials back and forth, especially from the east to the west. This is actually an exception because the absence of peace has blocked a lot of links that could be opened up with the establishment of peace. We're now developing one of them. We want to be able to ship goods from Asia through the Negev desert, possibly in cooperation with Jordan and even the Palestinians, to our Mediterranean ports, and thereby create if you will, a security blanket or an additional passage in case the Suez Canal is overflowing. It won't really drive out any business from the Suez Canal, but it could take care of an overflow situation. Peace opens up a lot of possibilities. The first one is geographic. The second is enormous amount of cooperation on solar energy. We're one of the most advanced countries in the world with this technology. There's a lot of sun in the Middle East. Our Arab neighbors could partake of that, say for desalinizing seawater. There's a lot of water, there's a lot of sun. There's just an absence of technology and cooperation. We could fill that gap. So there's a lot of mutual benefit that could emanate from peace.
And sir, of course, to those who see that potential like you, and they wonder about the stalled peace process, they wonder about the settlement construction. Is that cutting into potential prosperity in Israel? Why isn't more being done?
So in many ways, I think it's a minor issue that's become, assumed center stage for no objective reason. Also, the peace map is hardly affected by such minor construction of a few hundred apartments here or there. It's just not what it's made out to be. I think what really will decide peace is if there's a willingness of our Palestinian neighbors to recognize the Jewish state as we're ready to recognize a Palestinian state, to end the conflict, to settle the refugee problem outside the borders of Israel, to have solid security arrangements that are important for our security, but also for sustaining the peace, and to open up economic cooperation in ways that we haven't done before.
One of the uncertainties out there is, of course, the threat posed by Iran, the nuclear threat. You've talked about it during the course of your trip here. Again, to what extent can you reassure people in Israel, people in the United States, that that threat isn't going to end with a military confrontation?
I think the problem of Iran is not confined to Israel. We may be talking about it, but everybody else is, if not talking about it, in our part of the world, whispering about it. That's an underlying agenda. It's the world's problem. It's not merely Israel's problem. Because Iran, if armed with such weapons, could make a bid to take over the oil in the Middle East. They'll basically control the spigot of oil in the world. It could have other very bad ramifications, obviously. So I think there's a very broad consensus emerging that should not be allowed to happen, and this is an effort that is led by the United States, by President Obama. I think it's a risk for the entire world. It's not limited to Israel or even the Middle East. And the more people recognize it, the more they're determined to take economic action and leave all other options on the table, the greater the chance that this risk will not materialize.
And you're satisfied, sir, that the United States and Israel are on the same page on this issue?
We recognize Iran as a formidable global problem, and I'm encouraged by the fact that the President has said, and I quote him precisely, he says, "I am determined to prevent Iran from acquiring or from developing nuclear weapons," and I think that's a very important determination.